and that movie is really ridiculous.
It's very simple. It's very basic. It's actually very Marvel when you think about it. I have no qualms about killing. No, I don't worry about it.
And welcome back to another episode of the Convoluted podcast. It's your host, Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus, and today we have Joey Mangione back again. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me back. It's been a hot minute.
It has, and it's been twice as long since I actually recorded with someone, so I'm happy to be back in the game. So you all have also started a new show, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Show. Sure.
So,
yeah. What do you want to know?
So, for anyone listening, Joey, who hasn't, anyone who doesn't know Joey, you should know Joey.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you should.
I know him from the show that I originally listened to, and I actually ended up on an episode of your show, the No Inner Monologue. But now you have started a new show, GingerFlix. So
yeah,
tell the audience a little bit about GingerFlix.
Yeah, sure. Well, it goes back because Josh and I are old friends. I mean, if you listened to the No Inner Monologue podcast, Josh had been on the show a few times. And, he and I go back a really long time, and we've been discussing about, doing a project together, and sort of came up with this. And GingerFlix is really called GingerFlix because we both happen to be redheads.
Hey, you gotta go with it, Just dive 100% into it.
Pardon?
You just gotta go 100% into the name sometimes.
Yes. I'm sorry, man. You're cutting in and out a bit.
It should be fine as far as the recording. I do apologize. For anyone listening, some of the other reasons that I haven't properly recording is because my internet has been really bad in my area, and I barely got the company to acknowledge that I have an issue for a month, guys. That's why I haven't been recording. I do apologize for any of my listeners who actually do come back and listen. But we're trying every little bit.
Yeah.
And Joey, I do thank you for putting up with any technical issues we might have.
Hey, man, we've both been there, so don't worry about it.
But I do wanted to talk to you about your new show, because I have been actively listening to it. Because like yourself,
Thank you.
Like yourself, I also have a kind of like a film show topic and show. So I like listening to other people's opinions of whatever movie or show they've recently watched, because it just kind of adds to the discussion of it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So you, Josh, so what kind of brought up hey, let's make this show?
Like movies and film and all that?
Yeah.
Well, I actually went to school for television film production. Josh is actually a former performer, so we have sort of that kind of background, right? And we've always loved movies. I mean, as kids, we'd literally borrow money from our parents all the time and just walk over to the movie theaters and watch 3 movies in a day sometimes. You know what I mean? So we've been movie buffs for as long as we can both remember. And it's always fun just to get together, and we could talk about a movie for hours on end. We've been trying to keep the episodes short. Some episodes go a little bit over our half-hour mark. or a lot over, depending on what we're talking about. But we try to give a little bit more of a, much like most movie podcasts, I guess. We try to give some sort of an insight and what our thoughts on are what we've seen up on screen.
Okay, no, yeah, and I get that from it. Because I usually, depending on the film, I either watch a review beforehand, or if I don't want to get spoiled, then I watch it after. But I usually, before or after, I end up at least watching probably three to five opinions of it. So, that now adds, that includes yours now.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well,
As long as you're not taking my good friend Manuel's movie advice, I think you're okay.
it's been a long time since I've talked with Manny. So
With
he's been,
Manny?
yes, he's been dark online for a very long time.
I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't chatted with him in a little while. I gotta check in on him, see how he's doing.
If you do see him, say hi from Jesus.
I will. Knowing him, he might think, Lord and Savior and not you. I have to really specify with him. So
It'll be funnier either way. But anyways,
I just love it. Every time we make that, I just have a feeling that every time we would make that joke on No Inner Monologue, you just slap your forehead and roll your eyes.
I have multiple times. It's been acknowledged that I do. So
Okay, good. So it's working. It's at the point where it's not funny, but we're gonna keep if we come back and once we do, we're gonna keep pushing it till it becomes funny again. So have you ever seen that where comedians will do a bit like that where it's kind of funny, it becomes funny, and then it goes back to not being funny at all. And then after time, if they keep, burying it into the ground, so to speak, it becomes hilarious.
Yeah, it's been a while since some acts have done something like that. Just pushing kind of
You'll see it with who's a good comedian at doing that? He's on Saturday Night Live. It's Kyle Mooney. He loves that type of humor where he's deliberately not funny.
Kyle Mooney. I will look him up.
And like he had a bit where he would go on the Weekend Update and just do a not funny comedian bit. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. But then when you think about it, oh my God, he's doing it on purpose. He's bombing on purpose. It becomes hilarious because of the stuff he's saying, and it's not funny. Right?
Because there's a point in an act that you're just you can see that like this is pretty bad, but in a funny way. But then you wonder like is it funny? Then you're like, nah, yes, no. Then it's just pure funny at the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A comedian that started that, I don't know if you know of him, back in the 70s, is Andy Kaufman. Now he did a lot of crazy stuff too, like he would tour around the US with Jerry the King Lawler or whatever, some craziness. And he would challenge women to wrestling, like everyday women. So here's a man wrestling women. It wasn't funny per se. It may have been funny to Andy Kaufman, but when you think about like his actual stand-up, he would do things like, lip sync to the Mighty Mouse theme. So yeah, it's not funny per se, but when you think about it, it's completely absurd and ridiculous. You look at it from an abstract angle.
No, yeah, it sounds pretty bonkers just listening to the concept. And actually viewing this performance is like, what am I watching?
Oh yeah, totally.
That's interesting. That is interesting. It's just weird. It's just weird this day and age that comedy is just like on pins and needles, depending on the person. Some people are willing to push the edge, but like Everyone
Well,
just
comedy goes through these like, yeah. Well, comedy tends to go through these weird stages of like what's funny, what's not funny. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of comedians try to push some sort of a limit. And my favorite would be when Bill Burr said, "Listen, these are jokes. These aren't exactly my real opinions. These are observations. And for you to think I actually believe some of the stuff I'm making a joke about, you need to relax." I've really like watered down what Bill Burr has said there. just throwing a few F bombs in there and all that stuff, and you probably get the idea of what Bill Burr says.
you got the key points sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah, but like Bill Burr is one of those type of comedians where he'll say something and you're like, "Oh my god, did he just say that?"
yes, just last year I started watching him a few of
Another
his
comedian like
acts.
that is Chappelle, which I
Oh
wish Dave
yeah.
Chappelle would have more movies. To be honest, because I should really talk to Josh. Maybe we should do his Half Baked. That
Oh,
movie's
that would
ridiculous.
be interesting. It's been a while since he's done film. He's done specials recently, but not film. It's been a while. When was his last film?
I think Half Baked was like the last one that he actually started,
What? Wow.
and that's almost 20 years ago now.
Whoa.
Maybe even more than 20 years, right?
Let me double checking. Looking up on the dot. 1998.
Yeah,
So
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Wow.
Yep. 22 years ago was the last time Dave Chappelle started a movie. Now,
Interesting.
I wanted to
Okay.
ask you, what do you like more, like with us on GingerFlix? Do you like when we do older movies, or do you also like seeing our opinions on newer movies?
So at the moment, I'm watching some of your like recent ones, like the ones that just come out, because I usually like watch some of the newer movies. I watched most of your Super Bad and what was that? The other school movie?
Booksmart comparison?
Booksmart. Yeah, I watched that because I wa- I watched Booksmart in a way, and I wanted to see what comparisons you were gonna make between them because
Right.
that was interesting. Like, what are you gonna? Because I wanted to know what you're gonna talk about. So some of the older stuff, I actually like yourselves. I was thinking to do something similar with like Disney films, but it's kind of scary a little bit because it's Disney. But I
Pardon?
kind of
What's that?
so yeah, I was like thinking, I should do that with someone who's like a bit huge. I know for excessive Disney fans, like they're like big mouse ear musketeers, and I kind of want to go back and watch some of the vaulted movies and kind of go
Right,
in
like the old Disneys?
yes and kind of go in order by years and just kind of go with the flow and see how they progress and see how they hold up in this day and age. Kind of like yourselves watching some of the older films because they're what I'm glad you guys are doing are some of the obscure films because you guys like you said you watched a lot of movies and probably and a lot that I've never heard of as well.
Oh yeah, like which one have you not heard of that we've
Let's
done
see
so
here.
far?
For sure that the one we were talking over the DMs the something
Oh, Dolomite?
yeah I was like what is
Okay,
that
see, I think you got confused. We watched the Eddie Murphy film on Netflix. My Name is Dolomite. You
okay
may have looked up the original Dolomite, which
I
is based off of the production of that film. And that movie is really ridiculous, but I think it's done like tongue in cheek. So the original Dolomite movie was made in the 70s, pretty much in the blaxploitation era. And My Name is Dolomite goes through that whole story of the comedian who came up with the character and then with his own money pretty much produced this movie.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have not seen the original Dolomite, but I have seen clips from it because they play it in the end of the Eddie Murphy movie on Netflix.
that makes so much more sense. Yeah, I think you guys were gonna watch it because it's like free on Amazon Prime, and they're like, okay, they must be watching this sometime soon.
Oh, the original Dolomite is free on Amazon?
Yes.
Josh and I might actually have to do that now.
Yeah, I was like, so yeah, I was like, all right. And
If I tell you what, if we do that, if we do Dolomite, I'll let you know, and you can be on it with us. Considering this is pretty
God,
much kind of your mistake / brainchild.
oh god, now I gotta watch it too. Please.
Hey man, that's. I don't know if you ever listen to How Did This Get Made, but they watch a lot of bad movies, so.
Oh no, yeah.
And they
Like,
drag their friends into it with them, so I'm gonna start doing that too.
oh no, I'll be happy to be on your show. Just to see if I can
We'd love
find
to.
this. But yeah, that's something for a future project. Then everyone look forward to that.
Yeah, we have a few films like sort of upcoming that we're going to talk about. So we'll see.
Okay.
Upcoming, depending on when this drops, we're going to talk about Coming to America and the original Superman, and as well as the all-female Ghostbusters. So those are the next 3 episodes that are be coming out. Depending on when this drops, this may even drop after all 3 have come out. So who knows?
This will, for anyone listening, this should have already dropped the first week of March, so probably like the first Friday. Anyone who's holding me to this, it should be down on the 6th of March. So it's not at
Okay,
Twitter.
so you're aiming for that. So then by then the Ghostbusters episode will have dropped. But
Okay.
just keep listening and the others will come. Yeah. So have you seen the original Coming to America, for example?
Coming to America. That one's with.
That's another Eddie Murphy movie.
Yes, then I have.
Because they're coming out with a sequel this year, which makes no sense to me. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's a very old film too. 30 years old, 32 years old. Wow.
Yeah, that came out in 88.
Wow. Still a good movie though.
Oh no, it's funny. It's very funny. But yeah, there's a lot of premises in there where it's like, ooh. Just the fact that Eddie Murphy is the only character who understands that, a woman should be appreciated for her intellect as well as her physical features. Is the only character in the film that believes this.
God, I gotta rewatch it. I remember I watched it a lot in the late 90s when it showed up on television.
Oh yeah, man, it's a good movie to watch. You don't want to watch it on TV though, because most likely TV cuts it to shreds.
Oh yeah,
like any movie on AMC is completely just hacked because of well, in Canada it's the CRTC, in the States it's the FCC, and what you're allowed to show on television, what you're not allowed to show on television. Which, funny enough, up here in Canada it's a little bit more lax than it is where you are in the States.
There's too many people in the States who would get butthurt for almost anything these days.
It's been always like that, like not essentially about being butthurt, so to speak, but like I do know specifically with like CRTC regulations here in Canada, like you can actually say the F word on television after 9 p.m.
Ooh, really interesting.
Yeah, like it depends. Cause so, like growing up, they would show movies on some channels, and it would be pretty much uncut, aside from being cut for time. After time.
I think I remember you.
That wasn't like
a premium channel at one point actually had like full Sopranos episodes on.
Wow. I think I remember you guys talked about this also on one of your episodes.
I think we've had a similar conversation about this.
Yes, and I remember hearing this, and I thought I was while you guys were talking about. I think I remember when I was much younger. In the States, I believe there was also a time where they had like a time slot after, like I think also like 9 or 10, where there was a little bit more lax regulations. Because I remember I've watched a lot of. Maybe now that I'm older, I don't think it's as in your face, but maybe it was just uh for the times. It was uh
Yeah, I mean, things sort of change with the times, right? I mean, there was an era where you couldn't say damn on television.
whoa.
Right? Yeah.
So
My girlfriend works for a broadcaster here in Canada, and she was recently training to do the beep button for a live broadcast.
okay.
And she actually said, she goes, yeah, they give me a list of words that can't be said, and you have to be able to time it, whether or not you're holding it the right amount of time or whatever. She'd be holding it too short, so you'd hear the beginning of the word, and then halfway through the end of it. So like you hear the and then the rest of the word.
Oh God, I don't
Yeah, so
envy I don't
all
envy
about
the people
timing.
behind the board. Ah God, I can only
I
imagine
kind of do some.
the switchboard. You know, if, if I had a little bit more
The cool stuff they
time,
get to
so
know, right? Yeah.
yeah. There's actually
So.
I think a game recently came out that the game is basically a switchboard for a newscaster. Then you have to deal with all the camera work and the censorship, and
Mhm.
it's bonkers. I've watched
Right.
someone play it, and it gets crazy. But that's just a game. But it gives you that stressful environment. Like you fail, you fail.
Yeah, it gives you an idea, right?
But I want to talk a little bit then, a little bit more about film, mostly. So there's a topic I want to talk about is kind of how the East has been kind of influencing how Western films are being like censored, basically. Um, do you have any thoughts on that? Mostly with the recent how you got on. I didn't know about this until I saw it on a post on the No Inner Monologue Instagram that Vietnam's not letting having any more alcohol in their films for any of their actors or main or characters. If I'm remembering that right. Don't quote
Sorry,
me
I
on that
missed
until I
that.
look it up. Okay, I'm gonna double check. But
All
Vietnam is
right.
not letting any. Where are you? Any alcohol be shown. Where are you? There it is. Vietnam says no more drinking scenes in films. There it is. Yeah. So, so what are your thoughts on how other countries are affecting the censorship of Western films?
Okay, so like censorship across the board type of thing, and how other countries affect, like, say, how our movies are made type of thing.
Yeah, or kind of how we're some.
Okay, well, here's the thing, right? Like, censorship is different from country to country. I mean, heck, we're literal neighbors, and our censorship's like almost is very similar, but also very different, right? Like, and we literally just had this conversation like 10 minutes, like less than a minute ago, about how you can actually show certain things on television here in Canada that would not fly in the States. And the truth is like it's all based off on like societal norms and societal beliefs, right? And yeah, so it just depends on the culture. So it's kind of a hard thing to really discuss, more so or less, because like though our though we watch similar content realistically, there are some things that we'll have down here that you guys may not get down there. So it all depends, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, that's true. I don't know if there's that much censorship, at least for the Americas. Trying to
I mean, we
think.
don't have like government run censorship. That's the benefit of, living in a democracy.
True that.
although certain world leaders might wish they had that kind of control, but that's not happening. Hopefully, as far as we know.
True. Then kind of finish up the topic of films a little. Are there any like films this year that you're like are on your list that like you really want to see and talk about?
That are coming out?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm a huge Bond fan, and that's coming out soon. I'm
Get ready for my
so
review on
excited.
that.
Oh, buddy, I'm in anticipation. Like, I have honestly gone to the point now where I'm not reading anything about it because I want to go in completely fresh until I see it. Then after I see it, I might read something.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to know anything because I've gotten to this point, and I can't remember if I told you this or not, but I've come to the realization that the world we live in now, like specifically for movies, we tend to ruin the movie for ourselves before we even go into it.
Oh no, I
You get what I'm trying?
100%. No, I 100% agree with you on that. And this is just okay. You go first.
The fact that Endgame had to ask for like an entire social media blackout for like a week and a half from fans. Right?
Yeah.
And it didn't help because you still found stuff.
Yep. So
right?
So my opinion on this kind of like spoiler-ish topic of a film being kind of quote ruined comes from one a little bit of a kind of early review topics, kind of like it's kind of what we do. We talk about the films and our thoughts.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm guilty of spoiling movies for people like constantly.
Like we hope for our audience of those shows to have hopefully seen the film beforehand, then to listen and
But here's
kind of
the
have an
thing,
idea.
though. It's also about getting out as soon as possible,
Yes.
right? So, like, as content creators, both you and I know, you want to get out there as soon as something comes out. Try to beat everybody else, or at least be in line with everyone else. So that way, in the vast world that is the internet, you'd get some sort of a grasp at the cosmos. But then you're going out there and you're spoiling information. Like, say someone does find what you're going to say, or find your comment, your video, or whatever it is, and then they're mad at you for ruining something for them when they full well clicked on it themselves.
And I've done
We're
that
all guilty
myself.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah, we're guilty. Like, you and I specifically are guilty of both parties doing both things, and then feeling that self-loathing of, why the hell did I sit through this whole video when I should have just waited?
On the
Right.
Yeah. On the second point is kind of how trailers are cut. And depending on which company cut the trailer, some trailers just give away too much of a film that kind of.
Oh, don't get me started.
So
Do you remember
I
a
will.
little film called Batman vs Superman?
Yes. That's a big one.
That trailer spoiled the movie.
Oh yeah, that trailer hurt me so much because I don't know. Actually, no. Uh, okay, it's bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was bad.
It's not great. It's not great.
But did it lessen the pain I would have felt for when the actual thing would have happened or when Doomsday would have showed up?
Here's my whole thing, man. I wish somebody would give the Doomsday story on film justice because there's so much more involved. Like you could literally turn that Doomsday storyline into a 3-movie arc easily,
No, I totally
right?
agree with you. That should have been something far in the future, something built, something wonderful. Like it could have
Not
had that.
even
It could have
like
had
not
that.
even necessarily. Like you could even jumpstart from where it's going, right? So you do your Batman versus Superman. That's fine, right? You do that storyline. Cut out the Doomsday business, just cut it right out, right? And you do whatever the storyline there is. But then at the end, it's literally like a shot coming from space. You got to almost work it in as like, one of those old serials where it's like, oh, look at this. Now, because of the noise that Superman's existence has made in the universe, other beings from outside of the universe, within the universe and outside in the outer world there of our galaxy, knows what's going on here. It's very simple. It's very basic. It's actually very Marvel when you think about it, because that's exactly what Marvel did,
Yeah, and
right?
yeah, and it's a lot of companies have been
Because
trying
of the
to.
Avenger, yeah, because of Loki and the Avengers and the events of the Avengers and obviously Thor, the universe figured out what's going on Earth and then came by. Because if you go looking at it, Captain America's issues and villains were all tied to Earth. Um, Hell, Captain America's was Hitler and finding the Tesseract in general, but you don't have the Tesseract until without Thor's world being involved and Asgard and all that stuff. So what Marvel really did, and they planned it out, they almost literally mapped it out from beginning to end, and they're obviously continuing to do this. And for whatever reason, instead of taking the time and effort to really world build, um, the guys at DC Films and the DCEU are just trying to pump out content. And that doesn't always work without forethought.
Yes. Oh God, yes. It's just there. Take it or leave it.
Yeah,
And
and we've had you and I have both had this discussion on your show before. Specifically with this thing. We keep coming back to this god awful experience.
because it hurt us so bad.
Well, yeah, I think you and I are both pretty big Superman fans, and it hurts. It just hurts.
It hurts. And it just
I know I'm a big Superman fan, and so is Josh, and he and I go into this all the time. Like we've had discussions because we're gonna do Superman as well coming up, and we just said, okay, what are we gonna do? And he's like, okay, we're going with the original. We're going OG Superman. So we're gonna talk about that one. Have you seen the OG Superman?
that one would be who's the actor that played in it? Because I think I've seen almost.
Christopher Reeves,
Yes.
the first film version of Superman.
Yes, because I think I've seen every single Superman film that's ever come out. Because my father is a huge Superman fan, so I kind of grew up watching those
The
films.
Christopher Reeve ones, right?
So yeah, it's been a while, but I have at least watched his film.
My favorite line in Superman 1. It's literally it's funny It's cute, and it just sums up what Superman should be. So near the very big, like early in the movie, and I think it's Metropolis's first sight of Superman, where Lois falls from the building out of the helicopter, and she's falling, and he catches her, and he goes, "Don't worry, miss, I've got you." Then she looks down, looks back at him, looks down again, then back at him, and said, "You've got me. Who's got you?" I love that scene. I have loved that since I was a little kid, and I still love it. Right? There's this wonderful nostalgia for it that you don't see anymore with I guess the Zack Snyder Superman, which essentially, because they're going for this dark world or this darker sort of essence, because thanks to the success of The Dark Knight, you take so much away from Superman. Because Superman is not that.
No.
Superman is supposed to be this beacon of hope and like what we aspire to be. He's not supposed to be broody. I mean, he happens to get brutish, he broods a little bit, but he's not Batman broody. He's not moody like that.
I think that's the best way to. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And Henry Cavill's direction, because I don't think it was Henry Cavill's performance, because we've seen Henry Cavill, be playful. He even does it at the end with the Josh Whedon like reshoots of Justice League. You see it where Superman can be fun, aside from that god awful CGI that was used to hide a mustache. Thank you, Mission Impossible. Which I don't even think it was that good of a movie.
Oh no!
It's gone to the point where Warner Brothers just does not care. Like the dummies are gonna. It's like I just picture these fat cat suits in an office, and they're like, let's throw out another Superman movie. The dummies are gonna pay for it anyways, and that's what they give us.
It's and we watch it just because we want to know if it is good or not. But
of course, I mean, look at it. Or let's also go to, how about we talk about Jokers for a hot minute.
All right,
because congratulations to Joaquin Phoenix winning the best actor Oscar this year. It was very well deserved, an amazing, outstanding performance.
Oh yeah.
Also, let's mention Heath Ledger's performance of, again, outstanding performance as the Joker. And then there's poor Jared Leto, who has to be sandwiched between those two in terms of performing.
True, it is. Now
here's the thing that really gets me, and people like to shit on Jared Leto's Joker a lot. I've done it myself, but it's okay. But my problem with it is there wasn't enough of it. They didn't give us enough. And then they said, "Oh, you'll get it in, the extras in the Suicide Squad DVD or whatever." It's like, no, release that. Give us that. Give us more. Right? I can see why Jared Leto was upset with that. But then you go and take this, because if you go thinking about it now, the last two Jokers that have come out in film have very little to do with Batman. They have almost no interaction with Batman whatsoever. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now.
It's insane. Right? It's insane. And now, and all of a sudden, especially after Heath Ledger's performance, becoming the Joker is a huge undertaking now. It's a massive character. Up until Jack Nicholson, it was a gag. Think about it.
Yeah.
Nicholson's performance as the Joker is great, but it's just a hyper Jack Nicholson. I mean, hell,
Agreed.
if you want to go look, if you want to go look at other performances of the Joker, look at Cesar Romero's. He couldn't care less. Cesar Romero refused to shave his mustache as the Joker. Refused. He's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, the second you said his name, I actually had his face in my head. I remember those. Yes.
right? The
Oh,
old Batmans, they're comedic in tone and nature, and it's deliberate how comedic they are. But it's also hilarious the fact that you have an actor of Cesar Romero's caliber, right? Because he was huge then. But his whole was that I'm not shaving my mustache. I don't like anything without it. So how do you go from that, to thinking Joker is the biggest undertaking of a character ever because it's so dark? It doesn't make sense. And the truth is, and to get really dark and morbid here, it's because Heath Ledger passes away after doing the character within the year. That's why. Because then, you know what I mean? Then the media wants to spin it as, oh, it's playing the Joker that did this to him. It broke his brain and all this stuff, right?
the media. That's another hot topic.
Exactly, but here's the thing with method acting, right? Yeah, you go full in, right? I mean, Jared Leto is as method as they come, for Christ's sake. The guy stayed in character throughout the entire production. Heath Ledger didn't even do that. I've seen video of him like skateboarding as the Joker between takes. he's doing flipping ollies, for God's sake, you know? He's hanging out, smoking darts, yeah, having cigarettes, all that. He's just hanging out, you know, in between takes. He's having a lot of fun. So, yeah, his research seemed dark. His research was really a little bit disturbed. But people tend to forget that he did a movie between Dark Knight and his passing, which was The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which is another weird movie all on its own. And it's cool. It's freaky. It's a Terry Gilliam film. And if you know anything about Terry Gilliam movies, they're pretty out there sometimes. Right? So if anything, he's already, so to speak, in a completely different character by the time he passes. If he's even a method actor. So there's no way. But because of the timing and because of the way things happened, and because of the way the media spun it, it was the Joker is what did this to him. And then it's like, oh, how is this guy going to be the Joker after that? And that's now what's happened. It just sucks that Jared Leto did not get A, enough screen time, and B, really a shot after that, because he was the guy right after Ledger.
That's true. It was I think everyone talked about it too. It was everywhere, you know, just big shoes to fill.
But okay, seriously, what did you think of Leto's performance? The 5 minutes of screen time that he got.
So I got to think about it for a second, because I think the first time I saw the film, because I think, you know, after watching the trailer, I thought to myself, okay, I don't know about this. Watching the film, I was like, something's missing. But
here's the thing, the trailers and all that for Suicide Squad specifically was built around the Joker's popularity.
Yeah, that's, once again, it's just trailers messing up.
And it's
film.
at best a cameo. Like, hell, Tom Cruise had more screen time in Tropic Thunder, and nobody knew he was in that until they saw the credits. You know what I mean? Like, Tom Cruise had so much more screen time compared to Jared Leto as the Joker, and they marketed it around Jared Leto as the Joker. And then they did the opposite with Birds of Prey recently, where they and I think if you listened to our episode on it, Josh goes on about that. He goes, why wasn't there enough of the Birds of Prey? Why is this movie called Birds of Prey? Only to have it happen like right after saying, oh, we're changing the title.
Yeah, that was funny.
After
it was like
the movie's already been released.
That was funny because I think I said it in my thing too, and when I reheard it on your show, like it solidified what I was saying. And just the next day, they announced that it's Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. Like, why are you doing this now? It's because you're right.
Despite that, I thought the movie was fun as hell. I loved it. It was amazing.
Yes,
it was a lot of fun. I'm finding that nobody's going to the movies anymore just to have fun. Everybody wants to be so critical now. You're not a critic. I'm not a critic either. I hope somebody gives a crap about my opinion, but in reality, they don't have to. They'll probably say, "What's this dumb redhead saying?" But
I think I fell into that headspace last year when I was doing the show, but towards the end, it was getting to me that I was viewing the films in such high regards that I was not enjoying them as much as I used to.
And that's what hurts us, and that's what we all do now as a group. I mean, hell, our age group has done this to ourselves and complained about these movies. You know what I mean? How did we not like the Crystal Skull of Indiana Jones? Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. How did we not like that? It had every single element that the other three had, except this one had aliens, which was like, okay, George, we get it. You like aliens.
It's not my Indiana Jones.
But it is. it is your Indiana Jones. Face it. Just get over it, dude. It was. It was everything. Everything was there. You had Nazis. You had communists. You had adventure. You had a jungle. Like you had everything. I mean, why were we so like? That's what I mean. Why were we, and still to this day, are so willing to suspend disbelief to the point that opening the Ark of the Covenant will suck your soul and melt your face by looking at the spirits that come out of it? Why were we so into that then? But then, jump to when Crystal Skull is released that we can't buy, aliens being the ancient culture. Like, why can't we make that leap? That's what I don't get. It's just because as audiences, we've become so much more jaded now that we're just looking for stuff to hate. We're not looking to enjoy ourselves anymore at the movies. And that drives me bananas because I'm just as guilty of it.
I'm with you there.
You're not saying anything because you're like, oh my God, he's right.
No, yeah. One, I've learned to also let my guests talk a little bit more. It is their time to shine. But yeah, you're right. It's we as individuals now kind of should just take a moment and just enjoy a film for being a film. And
we don't do that anymore, man.
No,
we don't.
And
everybody's looking for something to pick apart, right?
Oh, God,
everybody
yes.
wants to be a movie critic now. Hell, I'm guilty of it too. Let's face it. I have a movie critique podcast, for God's sake. I'm the worst of the worst.
And
I'm literally the worst type of person. I'm so self-deprecating. I'm literally doing it right now on your show.
We are the problem.
Yes, but please listen to GingerFlix.
Support.
We would really appreciate support. Click, subscribe, like, but
but you're right. It's I think but here's the difference. It's like there's a point where we can like talk / critique a film for performances, for its cinematography, compared to others who could critique a film for whatever random stands this film may or may not have or what it preferred. I think that is some of the issues we're getting in this or the last recent decade and now. Is just people are just being quote woke
I wouldn't
And
even say it's that, man. I would say that it's just information is just so readily available to.
it's a mix of everything,
I mean,
sadly.
think about it. It's awesome, and it's that double. It's almost a double-edged sword. It's amazing. You know what I mean? It's great. We have all this new information, new technology. It's helped us do this, that, and the other thing. But then, you know, even with movies now, it's like, okay, we have access to all this information. Like, oh my God, now I know this, that, and the other, right? And you go into a movie now knowing too much, and it just kills any vibe you get from walking out of there without knowing a thing.
Ooh, the best film actually for that. I don't know. Have you recently watched The Invisible Man?
I haven't seen that one yet. The newest version, because there's like 50 versions of that movie.
The one that came out in cinema recently.
I mean, hell, even Chevy Chase was in a version of The Invisible Man.
I think it came out like this weekend.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, but like I said, that movie has been done time and time
So many
again.
times. True, yes.
Yeah,
But
right. I think even
You've-
Kevin Bacon did one, but it was just called Hollow Man, but it's still The Invisible
I
Man.
remember that. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? They keep remaking this goddamn movie.
But at least you've seen the trailer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Elizabeth
like
Moss is in it.
yes, and I was like,
Of
oh,
Handmaid's Tale fame.
yes, and
And
I was a big fan of that series, and I was interested.
yeah, Handmaid's
Oh,
original books written by a Canadian.
oh, really? Learn something
Yes.
new.
There you go. You better change the topic because I'm going to start singing my national anthem. So let's keep going here.
All right, to just kind of finish up that topic. I was not gonna watch the Invisible Man at all because for the most part you kind of get what's gonna happen, things like that. And after watching the trailer, like, okay, do I really want to see it? But from the reviews I've like listened to, like we've talked, it kind of spoiled it a little bit. But apparently, it's actually a pretty good film if you've never seen the trailer.
For what it is?
Yes, for what it is, it apparently has like a wonderful performance. So the shots are really done well. There are some like cliche moments, but if you kind of like you said, suspend your disbelief, it's a pretty good film. Like the thing that ruined it for a lot of the reviewers I was listening to is the trailer, and like, oh
Yeah.
and like, damn, like it, like for them, they everyone I've listened to said that it that they would have given it a big higher score if they didn't go in with such a predisposition. I think that's what it is, or preconception. There it is, preconception of the film already.
But that's the thing, though. You get so many, like, for a lot of movies, you go into it with preconceived notion. I mean, look at the 2016 Ghostbusters. Nobody went into that with anything good.
No,
And it was not. It should have been fun. It should have been hilarious, but it just wasn't. Like, I had maybe a few chuckles here and there, but it wasn't what it should be. Right? And you go looking at it, I mean, it had Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, Melissa McCarthy, directed by Paul Feig. I mean, these are funny people. It should have been hilarious. It wasn't. And like certain things, and I get into it a little bit more, I think, in the episode, and like certain things, it just like the film will seem clunky in terms of writing, and then if you compare it to the original Ghostbusters, which for whatever reason is so much smoother. But here's the thing: the original Ghostbusters went through about 7 rewrites or something crazy like that. If you go thinking about it, and I only figured this out and learned this from watching the films that made us on Netflix. Watch that series if you haven't checked it out. It's amazing because they talk about They talk about 4 movies in the first season. So they talk about Home Alone, Die Hard, Dirty Dancing, and Ghostbusters. Now, if you watch the Ghostbusters one, the original concept was to be like however many years into the future, and the Ghostbusters are just like your everyday handyman type guy, like plumbers. You could literally find 100 of them in the yellow pages, so to speak, right? You know what I mean, the phone book. But then Harold Ramis and Ian Reitman come along, and they're like, no, let's change this, that, the other. So it became a collaborative thing, which, and again, if you go looking at it, the guys who wrote that film, right, is Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ivan Reitman. Three of the best comedy writers, and you think about it, like, ever. Right? Just look at like what they've come up with comedically over their vast careers, right? Because like, if you ever notice anything of Dan Aykroyd's that doesn't have to be, if you ever watch the movie Nothing But Trouble, and that's a fully Dan Aykroyd fueled film, it's insane. It's bonkers, right? And I think How Did This Get Made actually talks about that movie in one of their episodes. But that's Dan Aykroyd having pretty much full creative control, and it was bananas. It was too out there. It did not do well. But then if you go looking at Ghostbusters, he was sort of reined in. He was like controlled and sort of brought in. It's like, okay, this is what's great here. Let's take this stuff. Let's add this. And let's take that, and let's add, right? So there was a full a full creative process. I think, and one could argue, that the development of the 2016 Ghostbusters was not as, what's the word I'm looking for? As collaborative, or just not as well executed.
That's a good way
And
to put
that's
it.
what really hurt it. That's what really hurt the movie, on top of all of the other garbage that was thrown in terms of the way it was marketed and the way just the social media negativity that blew up around it. Right? I wasn't a fan of the movie, not because I don't like women, but that's what, Sony Pictures decided to say. If you don't like this movie, you're a chauvinist. That's basically what they said.
Yep.
Right? That's what they came out and said. If you don't like this movie, you hate women. I'm like, what? It's insane. Maybe the movie's just not that good. Who knows, right? But like that whole thing, that was just a mess upon a mess, right? And just there were some things that were good, but then there were other things that were just terrible, right? And it's a shame, because I wanted to like it. I really did. I wanted to like it. I watched it. I've actually watched it more than once, thinking, okay, maybe I didn't get it on the first go. No. It actually got progressively more upsetting the more I watched it.
I think I've only seen that film once, but
Pardon?
right. I've only seen that Ghostbusters.
Oh
once.
no, yeah.
I think,
The
and from
original
listening,
Ghostbusters or the 2016?
The 2016. I've seen the other one multiple times.
Yeah, it's like,
I think from
don't
listening
cross
to
the
you,
streams.
I think for the most part, I think seeing it once made it worth just that once in a lifetime thing. But anyone listening, look forward to that discussion. It sounds like you guys get a little deeper into it. So I'm looking forward to hearing more of it.
Yeah, when that episode drops, there's going to be a lot more. You'll see. Josh gets really angry.
That's even better. So that's what the internet loves.
Oh yeah, he gets really upset about it. But again, the only downfall for us though is that we are doing older movies, so there's not going to be that many people that want to click on it, right? We did this version of Ghostbusters mainly because there's a new movie coming out this year, right? And you know what? I want to know what they're going to do, right? I mean, because obviously, sadly, but it's got the Stranger Things kid Finn Wolfhard, and that kid, and I think it's got Paul Rudd too.
Yes, it does. That guy's been doing a lot of work recently.
And I think all the other guys come back, right? I think
Yes, there's cameos.
Aykroyd and Murray and Ernie Hudson all come back. Which, funny enough, did you know that as production went on, Ernie Hudson's role of Winston actually got progressively smaller and smaller and smaller
I did not know that.
to where it is now. Yeah, no, it was supposed to be a much bigger role, but basically, the way it originally was supposed to go was Winston was supposed to be the wisecrack guy or something along those lines. But then, Bill Murray's there, and Bill Murray is brilliant and a force to be reckoned with. And he's on his own friggin' planet, that guy. And he's a genius. It's kind of like, well, Bill is so good. I'm sorry, but this is just the way the movies go, dude. And that's sort of what happened there, because Ernie Hudson had really originally signed on to be a much bigger part. And his role got whittled down to what we know Winston as now. What's upsetting is I would have really liked to see more of Winston in the movie.
No,
Right?
knowing that, you would wonder like what was his like role if they would have given him more to work with.
Well, another thing, the original Ghostbusters were supposed to be Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and Eddie Murphy. That was the original script. That's what Dan Aykroyd had originally written for. But, with Belushi passing away and then Eddie Murphy just getting bigger and bigger, they couldn't do it. And funny enough, Slimer is supposed to look like Belushi. That's the idea behind Slimer. And that's how John Belushi is sort of in it. I mean, you can kind of see it, but even like the guy who designed Slimer's like, yeah, sure, it looks like Belushi. Because I think what happened there is he got that note really late, like try to make this look like Belushi, and then when they finally saw it, like, oh god, that looks just like John, it's great. And the creator is like, the puppeteer was like, yeah, it does. That's what I went for, all by myself.
It was all
Right?
planned out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the puppeteer was like he even says it in the show, the movies that made us, is like, yeah, I didn't think it looked like him at all, but they thought it did, so it works out. But yeah, Slimer is supposed to look like Belushi.
I might
which
have
kind
to
of explains
Photoshop it.
Which yeah, so there you go. But yeah, that's what the Ghostbuster, like the 2016 Ghostbusters, going back to my point, should have been a lot better. And sadly it wasn't. I mean, the funniest bits were with Chris Hemsworth, and it was just shtick.
Yeah. Yes, they were.
Why didn't he have glass in the lenses? Just why?
They come on. They just needed a dumb character. They needed something. I don't know, man. I don't know what the writer. I didn't know what the writers were doing. Like you said, there's no like.
But every male character in that movie was just terrible. Like, if you go thinking about it, there was no redeemable male. I mean, not every guy hates women, but that movie posits a world where every guy hates women. I mean, hell, they had a running soup gag.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
If your movie has a running joke about soup, it is not a good movie.
If they keep pushing the soup joke, it will get funny.
It was an attempt at one of those jokes that wasn't funny, and they just kept driving it into the ground in hopes it would become hilarious, and it just didn't happen.
And back to the point we started at. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Like we talked a lot about films. Yes, we did, but we did talk a lot about So, if you guys want to listen to us talk more films, just to catch GingerFlix or catch me on Reaction Cast, or just catch both of us, just both of us, and probably a future collaboration. But before we end it, we're gonna have a few words from our friends. Okay, so Joey, as you know, this show we'd like our guests to tell us one of the weirdest, strangest, most convoluted thing that's ever happened, you've ever done, or has ever happened to you. Do you have another tale to share with us?
Oh, jeez. I can't even remember the last tale I dropped on you.
It's been a while myself, but
It
I've heard a
has been
lot
a
of.
while.
I have heard a lot of crazy tales, though. Some more baffling than the others, and they surprise me. Hey, when
That
you go
is
from aliens to
that is
witch doctors, you don't know.
So wait, you want me to just tell you the plot to Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull?
Someone's life is that. They have told me that they were like 100%
No
truthful.
way.
Yeah, they had this
Oh my goodness.
They had this weird like witch doctor incident, and another had this very realistic alien experience. Like, I my apologies if I can't remember those guest names, but man, like honestly, I never know what some people
Oh
will come
man.
up with or tell me, and I'm like, wow.
Wow. I do have a friend who believes like every time he gets an Uber, the Uber driver is the most ridiculous person in the world, it seems like.
Oh,
Now,
I
I
thought you were
don't
about
know
to
if it's
Twilight
just
Zone me.
no, 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 no. I don't know if it's just my friend or if it's, the actual Uber drivers, but like he told me this one story where now I'd like to preface this where him and his friend were consuming copious amount of marijuana cookies. Like they had about 3 or 4 cookies. That's a lot.
Okay, disclaimer, guys. They were high.
Yes, they were high. And so they began to tell me this story of how their Uber driver was ridiculous in so many ways and said some ridiculous things and said, "Okay, guys, I need to stop for gas. I'm just going to pull over here and get gas." So, according to them, the Uber driver proceeded to fill the car with the engine running, which is impossible. I mean, you could do it, but the vehicle would instantly explode because it's a combustion engine. Crazy, right? That's about as far as I remember. Again, I wasn't there, but yeah, it's a little bit wild, right? I, I, I mean, there's one time I stole Josh's phone for like 3 days, and
Wait, what? Why? What?
he's like, "Why do you have my phone?" He's like, "Don't." I'm like, "Do you want to see it again?"
Did you hold his phone hostage?
Or no. We were like 16 or whatever. It wasn't 3 days. I'm exaggerating on that one.
Okay,
But
like,
we were on our way to the movies, and he dropped his phone, and I grabbed it and started running. Me and another friend of ours, and we're like, we can't let him catch us. Yet the three of us were going to the movies. We were all going to meet up there. We just ran ahead, and me and our friend, um, think. Anyways, his name's not important. But anyways, he and I, literally went on this whole like complete rant where we thought that police helicopters, chase dogs, a SWAT team were going to be involved because we have now stolen Josh's phone. To be a child again.
oh god, the young
But
mind.
yeah, by that I meant that happened last week. But
And you actually still have his
15,
phone.
I meant yeah, I'm actually talking to you from his phone. He's somewhere he's somewhere judging a dance competition while I have his phone. But
Like, am I missing any calls, emails?
I don't know. Joey's got that. That's Joey's problem.
Oh, useful shenanigans.
Shenanigans, so to speak.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to the game show
No.
portion of the podcast.
Da 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 da.
And
So
that's
glad
because it's been copyrighted. I gotta be careful.
Well, I don't think it's correct enough to be considered copyright, so you might be okay.
You gotta be careful with YouTube, man. They get you on the littlest things.
True. Which is why I tend to try and play Disney clips all the time, because then I can claim Disney is, suing me, and that will get listeners. But
okay, so I surprised you with Job Hunt. For anyone listening, Job Hunt is a game where I, the interviewer, is putting out jobs for Joey to apply for. They are some of the craziest jobs out there. Some very interesting, some very odd, and some very normal ones too. Some pop up here and there. On top of that, Joey will get 3 specific qualities that he has to kind of work them in to his interview. He can also add his personal qualities to the mix to make it more interesting. The qualities, Joey, that you're going to have to mix in are that 1, you have a great poker face. 2,
all right.
You are soulless.
Sorry, soulless?
Soulless, yes.
All right. So I'm a redhead.
The cards just popped that out. I'm not gonna lie. It made me chuckle. Like,
gingers have souls. Oh, that kid.
And the final quality is you have a good aim. All right.
Alrighty.
The first job you are trying to apply for is you're trying to be an archaeologist. Why can't I say that word? Archaeologist. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Why do you want to be an archaeologist?
So what are my 3 qualities again? Soulless, great aim,
poker face,
and a great poker face.
And
all
any
right.
other qualities that you have right now.
Okay. All right. So how do we start this off there?
All right. So Joey, you're trying to be a part of our company. What makes you a better archaeologist than any other one that we currently employ?
Well, first, thank you for bringing me in for the interview. I really appreciate that. It's been a little bit tough because for whatever reason, interviewers seem to not really gauge what I'm thinking or whatever because I have a really solid poker face. And I can use that, in terms of if somebody's trying to steal our archaeological find, I could lie my way out of it real quick. As far as, like say if we were to open the Ark of the Covenant or anything, nothing would happen to me if I looked because I have no soul being a ginger. I actually have the ability to take others' souls. And, if we're being in like a gunfight with Nazis or whatever, I have really good shot, really good aim. Like I am definitely a way better archaeologist than that hack Dr. Indiana Jones or whatever. So I think I'd probably be the best guy. For your,
interesting. Okay. Tell me more about yourself.
Well, I can lift a car fully over my head. That's not even a joke. In terms of intelligence, I actually invented the H-bomb. Sure, or like the atom bomb. Sorry, sure. Einstein gets credit, but I kind of help him figure out with the math, because we all know he's not great at math. But come on. And as far I'm amazing with a shovel. Like I shovel well. I shovel really well. It's uncanny. Like I've dug up like 7 dinosaurs in like one day with just like a small shovel. There's a lot of work.
All right then, Joey. Thank you for your time. We will get back to you again in a short while.
So do I got this or what?
Well, let the audience decide. But
now your soul is mine.
All right, now it's time for you to apply for the second job. Interesting.
Ooh, this is exciting.
It's interesting because you don't know this one. As always, this one's always a surprise for the guest. And what's interesting is that it works really well with what we discussed earlier in the show. Because we got archaeologists with Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And now you are trying to apply to be a secret agent.
Oh, even better.
All right.
What are my qualities for this one?
Same qualities.
Ooh, even
I know
better.
it really worked in your favor. So
this is way too easy.
That's why I'm like, damn. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a challenge for the archaeologist. And I'm like, I pulled this card, really? He's gonna have fun with these qualities. Damn. All right, let's get started.
All right then.
So Joey,
yes,
we brought you in today because you have a certain set of skills that we've had our eyes on. What makes you a cut above the rest?
Well, I'd like to start off with my marksmanship. It's high and above the rest. I mean, I have never missed a target. Like, I mean, never. Right? I have no qualms about killing. I don't worry about it. Some would say I'm quite soulless in that regard. I have basically, if a button needs to be pushed, I will push it. And oh damn it, I forgot the third quality. But as far as things go, I have a real knack for getting in and out of trouble, and quick on my feet. I'm a quick thinker, and that's about it. That's all I got. I wasn't as good as the archaeology one. Oh, I've also seen every single Bond movie that's ever been made, so I figured that qualifies me.
All right, Mr. Mangione. We're going to keep our eyes on you for a while. You'll be hearing from us.
Thank you. Oh, exciting.
Right.
That was a lot of fun, man.
And at the end for Job Hunt. Now, audience, there should be a poll on probably Twitter and Instagram. Let Joey know what he should be, or what job he get from you guys. For me, that's enjoyable. It's always fun to apply for these fantastical jobs.
I hope you enjoyed yourself. It was quite nerve-wracking for me. I was getting interviewed.
Hey, I still got a couple of questions.
Oh no.
Like I said, I don't know what an archaeologist actually does. Like, what bones have you dug up? Like, oh God, what dinosaurs do I know? Jurassic Park, teach me.
My younger sister growing up, she said she always wanted to be an archaeologist. I said to her, you do realize it's not like Indiana Jones, right? You don't actually go on like wild adventures. She's like, really? I go, yeah, you don't get chased by like, tribes or anything. It's actually quite more controlled than that. She's like, oh, well then I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you should have just let her all the paperwork. So much Paperwork. But
Exactly.
yes. All right, but that was a game show. Joey, thank you for coming on and talking. Like for anyone listening,
It's always a
we-
pleasure. It's always fun talking with you, man.
no, it's always a pleasure talking with you, mostly about films, because like you said, you are a big movie buff, and I more recently have been getting into films, not only like overall, but just getting to know some of the more actors, the directors, the writers, just getting deeper into that world. So having someone to talk to who understands it a little bit more to get a little bit more. Now you
Like-
guys have a podcast too. So
Oh yeah.
go
Yeah,
ahead
yeah.
and shout
There we go.
out where they can find you, how they can reach you, and all that jazz.
Well, you can check us on Instagram at GingerFlix Pod. I was almost about to plug the other show.
Have it.
Right? Force of habit. Yeah, it's Ginger and then Flix FILX Pod. Also, you can catch us pretty much on almost all social all podcast platforms. We're on YouTube as well under GingerFlix Pod. Yeah, that's about it. Like you can catch us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, and I think Apple Podcasts as well, and a few others. But that's us in a nutshell. I mean, take a listen, and if you ever want, shoot us a message on Instagram or whatever about whatever movies you want us to do. So yeah, we do all kinds of movies, old ones, new ones, whatever.
There you guys go. Go check them out. I'm enjoying watching them.
I'd
Slash-
recommend listening to if you haven't listened to it, the Uncut Gems episode that we just dropped recently.
All right.
That's a pretty good one.
Okay.
Right? It's fairly short. We try to keep the show within a half hour. A handful of times we've gone to the hour mark, but it's because we had a lot to say about the movie. Right? So yeah.
All right then.
Again, it's always a pleasure to be on the show.
No, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. So everyone, I'll have all those links below. As always, thank you for listening. Oh, and also you can, like I mentioned earlier, on Instagram, I believe Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, there's going to be polls so you can judge Joey on what job he wants to do. You can check out when episodes drop, all that stuff. All the links will be down below. So, everyone, thanks again for listening. Until next time, see ya.